Hello, friends. Welcome to Thursday's study. We're going to go back a little bit today, looking at Joshua chapter 7, verses 6 to 9. 7, 6 to 9. You remember those verses, don't you? Those are the verses in which Joshua tears his clothes, dons sackcloth and ashes, falls down before the temple. The other elders as well join him in mourning and in seeking God after the defeat, the first defeat that they received by Ai. Joshua says, Lord, why did you bring us out here for us to be given into the hands of the Amorites? It might have been better for us just to be okay on the other side of the Jordan. What does that sound? Does that sound like anything familiar to you from our study of Exodus? Do you remember when the Israelites, when they were in the wilderness and they were hungry, they said, Lord, what to God that you would just let us die? Why couldn't we just go back to Egypt? Why did you bring us out here in the desert to die? Back in Egypt, never mind, they're under slavery, they're under captivity, they're being beaten and all kind of stuff is happening. But when we were in Egypt, at least we had flesh pots and we had all the bread we could eat. Everything was great in Egypt. Of course, everything was not great in Egypt. But when we are sometimes in a unique situation of pain, we can forget just how bad former challenges were. Sometimes we crave going back into slavery because walking in victory gets a little difficult. We crave deeper, more painful slavery. Think about that. God says, nah, that's not what I'm doing. And Joshua comes around. He comes around in his prayer, Joshua chapter 7, 6 to 9. He says, Lord, and the other thing is, if we are defeated, you're going to look bad. The other nations, the heathen nations, the Canaanites are going to look and say, what kind of God would bring his people out here and then let them just be vanquished? That must be a weak, Lord, you're going to look weak if you don't come and rescue us. Joshua understands something important, that even though they are in the middle of conquest, even though God is demonstrating his power in the way that he is giving them victory over the inhabitants of Canaan, Joshua also understands that God's reputation is at stake. That there are bigger things happening, that it's not just about us. It's not just about the Israelites. It's just not just about me, myself, and I. God's name and God's reputation and God's character is also at stake while my life is being affected. So sometimes we get to thinking that it's only about us. No, it's also about God. Bigger things are happening in the moment. Joshua at least gets that picture, even though he's missing what God is up to, and he's missing why it is that he and the nation failed in that moment. God educates his son. Joshua was a man who went through and saw up close and personal, or heard all the gripes of the Israelites in the wilderness. But notice how when the pain and the suffering affects him as leader, he too suffers. He too struggles to really see from God's perspective. But when he does, he comes around and he's obedient and he leads the nation in casting out that sin, in reconciling themselves to God, and then leads them on to victory. God is telling you he wants you to be a witness to his power. That's our study today.